I remember First Sergeant Johnson saying, "Hey, sir, we gotta go. We gotta go." And I was like, "Okay, we're gonna go." And so finally, it was time to go. I was in I say, melancholy disposition because I was really just still kind of trying to process the death of these young men. I'm like, are we making a difference over here? I mean, we got guys getting killed every day, and is all this sacrifice worth it? These flood of thoughts are going through my head as I'm heading back to my headquarters, and then it's like, wham. I got hit by a command detonated IED. So when I say command detonated, this was triggered by someone. It wasn't buried and it wasn't random. It was buried in the ground, and there was a wire to it, and there was a spotter, and there was a trigger man, and when my vehicle went over it, they exploded it.
How many guys were in the vehicle?
5 of us. The blast blew me out of the vehicle. I remember kind of going through the air and hitting the ground. My vehicle kind of continues, sputters on before it eventually stops, but I don't see it. The last thing that I said, Julian, I said, "God, I don't want to die here." So anyway, all the catching up had done, and I remember First Sergeant Johnson saying, "Hey, sir, we gotta go. We gotta go." And I was like, "Okay, we're gonna go." And so finally, it was time to go. I was in a I say melancholy disposition because I was really just still kind of trying to process the death of these young men. I'm like, are we fucking making a difference over here? I mean, we got guys getting killed every day, and this is, are we making a difference? I mean, just sort of a rhetorical question, and is all this sacrifice worth it? That's kind of where I'm at emotionally. But I'm also thinking about, okay, what do I got? What's on tomorrow? What's on the measures? Where am I going tomorrow? What's our game plan? And just kind of going through all that stuff in my head, and all these things, these flood of thoughts are going through my head as I'm heading back to my headquarters, and then it's like fucking wham. I mean, I got hit. I got hit by a command detonated IED. So this wasn't. When I say command detonated, this was triggered by someone. It wasn't buried and it wasn't random. It was buried in the ground, and there was a wire to it, and there was a spotter, and there was a trigger man, and when my vehicle went over it, they exploded it.
How many guys were in the vehicle with you?
5 of us. Everybody survived. First of all, everybody survived, but the blast blew me out of the vehicle. It was an armored vehicle. It was an armored Humvee, factory armored Humvee, so about 15,000-pound vehicle that the blast blew me out of. And I remember kind of going through the air and hitting the ground and rolling.
You do?
Yeah.
So you weren't knocked out? Whoa.
No, I mean, I was lying on my back, and I was like, first I was pissed, like, fucking son of a bitch. I mean, like, I just knew it was. I knew it was an ID, but then I was like, "Shit! I am wounded and I ain't moving. I'm laying there on my back." This is 9:30 at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. My vehicle kind of continues, sputters on before it eventually stops, but I don't see it. And the last thing that I said, Julian, I said, "God, I don't want to die here," and I was out. The senior non-commissioned officer in my patrol, he was First Sergeant Johnson. He was actually acting as my battalion command sergeant major because my battalion command sergeant major had been on emergency leave. He was the first one to arrive at my vehicle. So I was vehicle 3 or 4, and First Sergeant Johnson was in the 4th vehicle. So when he gets to where my vehicle stops, he was actually the one that recognized I was missing. Now, one of my company commanders was sitting behind me, and the driver and the kid in the turret and my interpreter was sitting behind the driver. His name was Mike Oro. He was a U.S. civilian that was born in Iraq, but was a civilian. He was 58 years old. And my interpreter, and he got wounded as well, and apparently he was in distress and making noise or screams or whatever, and everybody was attending to him, and the folks in my vehicle had assumed that I had gotten out to help with Mike.
Oh, shit.
And so when First Sergeant Johnson got to my vehicle, he was like, he said, to quote him, he said, "Where the fuck's the colonel?" And that's when they, they all kind of realized, holy shit, he's not here. And so he would find me.
And you're knocked out at this point.
At this time, I was unconscious.
Had you knew you couldn't move? You said you were on your back. Had you looked down?
I was on my back. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just knew something. I knew I was going to die. I had no idea where I was injured. I just was on my back and I couldn't move. So First Sergeant Johnson finds me, I think somewhere between 50 and 100 yards away from where my vehicle stopped.
Oh, my God.
You flew 50 or 100?
Well, I didn't
'cause
fly
okay.
because the vehicle kept going.
But still, Jesus. And this is a 15,000-pound vehicle. When you ejected, did you...
No, it blew me out of the side. It blew the door open. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, if you can pull up a picture.
Yeah, let's do that. Because when you were first explaining this, I'm like, you went through the metal roof of a vehicle and survived. Like you are Iron Man.
Yeah, no.
What should we be searching?
Put Colonel Gadson's Humvee photos.
Yeah. Colonel, how did you know that it was what do you call it, command detonated? How did you know?
Well, I didn't know it was command detonated until after the fact.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
How did they know?
Oh, because they do the forensics. I mean, they had people that do the analysis, so it came out in the after
That's
action
so
report.
interesting.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
We got it.
So I have this. It would be photos.
Yep. Yep. Keep going down.
A lot of you.
Yeah.
Is that it right there on the right side? Is that
No, yeah, that's but that's not it.
That's not the one.
There's an
but-
actual picture of the.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
That's not it, or
You got John. You got the book here?
No. Your book has it, right? Is
Yeah.
it, what's on the? It's not on the cover. That's you on your.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if we can get it. But if we do, we'll stick it in the corner of the screen, in the after. So it shows the image, like the investigators taking the picture of.
Well, no, you'll see my vehicle in the boneyard. You'll be able to see how it blew me out of how the door blew open and it just
Yeah.
blew me out. I didn't have my seatbelt on, so that's why I didn't stay in the vehicle.
Oh, okay. So you blow out the side. It ends up stopping 50 to 100 yards from where you are. What was the name of the guy who was coming over to find you first after he was like, he's not there?
First Sergeant Johnson.
First Sergeant Johnson.
Yep.
So he
finds me.
You're knocked out.
I'm knocked out. He starts to resuscitate me. Apparently, I punched him like 3 times because
Nice.
I remember, and I remember what I do remember is I remember sort of coming back, coming to and wondering why he's so close to me. Like, why is he so close to my face? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. And all that whole time, my medic, and a private named Eric Brown, put the tourniquets on my face, on my leg. So he's the one that the doctors give credit for saving my life.
So you're basically below your kneecaps is where shit was.
Yeah, but my legs were still connected. He put the tourniquets high on my thighs.
Got it. So your thighs were doing okay.
Well, I mean, I'm above the knee, so not really.
Whoa.
But he put the tourniquets high. He probably ran them through my crotch
Whoa.
and cinched them so I could to stop the bleeding.
And that saved your life.
That saved my life. He said, the doctors say, whoever put the tourniquets on your legs saved your life. So, I mean, that night, Julian, I went through 129 pints of blood. The average human holds between 6 and 8 units. I went through 129 pints of blood.
How does that even work? Like, are they giving you like transfusions?
Whole blood, yeah. In fact, they ran out of blood in the cache, and and they were ready to hook one of my other first sergeants directly to me for blood.
What?
I died 6 times that night. I went into arrest 6 times that evening.
Did you have any, because you're knocked out this whole time, obviously, but like, did you have any sort of near-death experience with that? No.
Nothing?
That's, wow, 6 times. Where did they take you?
So they took me back to where the ceremony was, and then and that's where they started triaging me, and then that's where a medevac would come and get me and take me to where they were giving me all the blood and the cash, the combat hospital.
How many days were you out?
So this all happened on the 7th of May. So I would go to the cache in Baghdad, and then from Baghdad to Balad, where the Air Force flew me out from Balad to Germany, and then Germany to the States. So I was wounded on the 11th. I was in the States by the 11th of May.
What? Wow. So 4 days later, you're in the States.
Yep. Still had my legs.
Wait,
still
I didn't know they did this.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought like if they were taking you out, they took you to Germany, and that's where you were.
No, I went to, Balad was the air base where that was the sort of air medevac. That's where the air base was to get us out of the country. And then Balad to Germany. So I got operated on the cache that night. The next day I got operated in Balad. And then I got operated in Longstuhl, Germany. And then I landed at Andrews to go to Walter Reed in Washington, D.C.
When did you wake up?
I don't remember the specific day, but I was, it's probably a week or so. I was in an induced coma, and
So you never saw Germany. You don't.
no,
Yeah.
I don't have no memories of Balad. I have no memories of Germany. I have no memories of even landing at I was out.
So what is? I mean, so 5 days in a coma. Can you compare it to like a regular sleep, or you just like wake up and you're like, what is that? You were never conscious for the 5 days.
I don't know. I mean, if I was, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't
I can't.
remember it?
Yeah. Well, I know this. I had, and this is sort of anecdotal, but the Air Force flight nurse that talked to my wife. So the Air Force flight nurse that flew from Germany to Andrews, she stayed in the ambulance with me from Andrews Air Force Base to Walter Reed in D.C. So she talked to my wife, and she said, I've never given so much sedative to an individual as your husband. So apparently I was fighting. I mean, and she had to keep sedating me, but I have no memories of any of that.
Now, I think in John's podcast with you, you discussed how one of your guys flew with you, I think, from Iraq to Germany.
One of my teammates. So a West Point teammate. He was a couple years behind me, named Will Huff. At the time, he was a major, and we had actually interacted in Baghdad. And so he incredibly, when he found out that I was wounded, was able to get a helicopter ride to the cache where I had my initial operations in Baghdad, and he got permission to stay with me all the way to Germany.
Wow.
Because that was as far as they would let him go. So this guy's locker was literally across from mine for 3 years at West Point.
Wow.
He was the number 78.
That's
Number 78,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's a pretty cool West Point bonding thing right there.
Yep. Well, the doctors that operated on me were West Point grads.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. The doctor that was in charge of my rehab at West Point was a teammate.
Full
Doctor-
family. Full
yeah.
family.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, it's crazy.
But the last thing you say right before you get knocked out there is, "I don't want to die."
God, I don't want to die in this country.
And
that
then-
was my prayer.
And then you thought
Then
you were closing your eyes, and that was it.
well, I mean, it's blank.
Who said you guys opened up your podcast with
Yeah, that
the
is
soldier's prayer?
Soldier's prayer. Yeah.
Your dad read that. Someone said that to you
Yep.
at that time?
Yeah, Private Brown, the kid that put the tourniquets on my legs, knew it by heart. And so after when they put me in a vehicle to get me back to where we left from, my head was in his lap in the vehicle, and I asked him to say the prayer.
Oh, you asked him.
So you remember that?
I knew that he knew it, and I asked him to say it.
So you remember that part. So you woke up at that part.
Yeah,
when
I
you
was.
were-
Yeah, I was in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, there were times I was in and out before the, and like my last memory of Iraq was hearing the medevac coming, like hearing the helicopter come and get me. And I've learned after the fact that like when they put me on, I was breathing on my own. But before I got to the cache, they had to intubate me. So I stopped breathing on my own. So it was just touch and go for a while.
So when you think of these things, I'm trying to picture. Is it almost like you have these in and out dream sequences when you're
No.
picturing in your head?
No, I'm essentially sharing with you what I've been told.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't remember Will flying with me. I don't, honestly, the last thing that I remember hearing the helicopter. I have these vague remembrances of flashes of the look on people's faces that see me, and it's not good. I remember, my boss, who was a colonel, Colonel Gibbs. I remember talking to him, and I remember telling him, at this point, I'm just, I'm just like a broken record saying, please tell Kim and the kids I love them, and it is that realization that I know that I'm not sure I'm going to make it home. And I just wanted I just wanted them to know that I love them. You don't know if you're going to make it.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.